Hi. So this month, starting with ragas, I've been listening to. Oh yeah, I should probably pull it over here. This thing, music today, from India. This looks to be like in really bad shape, but um, it's probably tough to find one in good shape. This is the 16 cassette series of ragas. I might have mentioned that I really like Indian classical music because it's a lot like Western music in many ways. It's melodic. It has some of the structures, but some of the things are completely different. And rhythmically, it's a lot more interesting for the most part than Western music. So I had a few of these already, but I listened to a few more. Made it through the box set, except for the night ragas. There was some of them had a few challenges in terms of just playback, and the final one in the night ragas series was unable to play. So I got almost all of it listened to, but I'm still holding off. I figured, well, I'm just gonna do it. Usually I would just call it almost good, and then, but I don't know. I haven't really encountered this issue where there's a video series and I make it almost the last one and it doesn't play it. I'm just gonna hold off for that Night Ragas Volume 4 if I can ever get it. It goes from morning, to where's morning? Morning to afternoon to evening, and then finally to night ragas. All right, and then other things I listened to this week include a number of things. I actually repaired a few cassettes so that I could have a little bit better, some other better things to have, like, be able to present. Because otherwise, things are slowing down a little bit, and I have not been collecting much. Prices are kind of growing completely out of control, and thankfully, like with 95% of the things I see, I've already got them, so it's not really, doesn't really affect me anymore. I got most of the stuff in the last 35 years, so it doesn't matter for me. All right. Let's see. The Badfinger was interesting. That's the self-titled one, I think, from 76. I've already got a different copy of that. But yeah, Badfinger, like a lot of the songs on this one are depressing and sort of kind of hint at the unalivings of the two of the members, what happened 10 years apart, I believe 72 and 82. And so I think one of them might be gone by this record from 76. It's been a while since I've remembered that whole thing. But what happened to them was just horrible. I wish they could somehow just, I'm not sure, like, had massive debts and, I don't know, not been, I'm not sure. They're kind of a forgotten band, but then yeah, they like got robbed a number of times, both by the Apple label set up by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, thinking that somehow, like, those guys both, especially John, had some kind of really big thing about, like, people coming crawling on their knees to massive record labels, but their record label just caused, like, all the set in motion everything that happened at Badfinger, which is interesting. But so did the manager, who was just a thief. He just stole their money. So, anyways, yeah, they were a really great band. So, speaking of the Beatles, I did just listen just now. Within the last 20 minutes, I finished up this copy of Let It Be here. Yeah, it's that gold version. I've got the original. I've got other versions. Let It Be, quite a few. It's very nice. Yeah, but this is the gold one that came out after the first one. Now, this Surfers album is actually live in Madison. This just showed up at the local record store, and I was pretty happy. I'm hoping that, like, there'll be more coming in soon that I can, you know, get. We'll see what happens. But they are the kind where it's like, I don't know who made these or why or what the deal is. They're on very nice tapes, but like this sort of thing, I've shown this kind of thing before. I've had this kind of thing before. These sort of tapes are kind of incredible. I don't know where they come from. I don't know much about them. But there's usually soundboard recordings. They say fan club on them. This one says don't pay more than 10. I didn't. It was 6. And it was like a fun, you can tell the crowd was really into them. They're a band that kind of needs the crowd, I think. Like, their albums play much better live. And not everything, like, obviously they didn't have their hit Pepper yet by this point, 89. That came out in 96. So definitely an underground thing, and like their songs aren't really that tuneful or catchy or anything, but compared to some other bands, they're okay though. I don't know. It's more the novelty at this point of getting these things like this. The Nick Cave, speaking of novelty, no, I'm just kidding. They're not really. The Nick Cave was kind of interesting. It had just some covers and things. What did it have? Well, it had not Femme Fatale. It had All Tomorrow's Parties, I think. It had a number of covers. Let me see real quick. Yeah, All Tomorrow's Parties. By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Long Black Veil, stuff like that. I'm not sure. Like, again, Nick Cave, not my favorite or anything, but he's fine. 80s dark wave stuff. It's okay. It's all right. It has a place. I wish I could get more excited about this. Let's see. DJ Shadow, I really enjoyed. It made me realize I should have been collecting more serious about DJ Shadow in the past, because there's still a few things I got to get. Oh, you know what I really liked though? This Dawn here. Yeah, this was like a combination. It's from 2006. Combination of Bollywood and techno music, just done in the greatest way possible from that time. It goes very well together. So yeah, the techno elements really, I don't know, are perfectly futuristic for that time. And the movie is very, very cheesy as far as I can tell. I think it's one of the movies that I kind of looked up. Yeah. Okay, so here you can't really see any of this, but this is something that very few people are going to be able to get into, but those who know. DCI 1979 here. Now, I recently just discovered, this is volume 4. Interestingly, it's got the Garfield Cadets and the Crossmen on it, even though it's like bottom, it's like, I don't know, between 13 and 24 or so. And with 2 tapes on each side, for total on a tape, you get a top 12 and a bottom 12 through 24. And I believe, it didn't really go to CDs. It didn't go to top 25. Well, no, it was top, I don't know. No, top 20, I think, at a certain point. But in 79, I don't know, actually. I was trying to suss this out on Facebook, but it's either the top 20 or the top 24 for many years. And I didn't realize they went back this far. I knew they had 81, so this is the 1981 top 12 right here. There should be a top 24 to the rest of 1981. These things show up every once in a year or something, and very randomly. So, well, it's my hope someday to find somebody who, for whatever reason, has all the 70s and all the 80s, and just, they'll probably be out east, and they'll probably be, looking to get rid of them. And sure, that I don't know. They might. And, fair price or whatever. These were actually pretty cheap, and they played well. I got to hear things like Santa Clara 81 and stuff. And yeah, it's not a year that I was very familiar with, but Santa Clara's performance was awesome. Speaking of, the Drum Corps Championships are in 1 week, and Santa Clara Vanguard this year is one of my favorite shows, as well as Boston Crusaders. And I'm hoping, we'll see. I'm hoping the Boston can pull it out. I do like the blue coats, but I feel like it's more the same as last year. I'm not a Sun Lux fan. I don't like, I feel like they've kind of all bought into Sun Lux because they're so honored that Sun Lux would, collaborate with the Bluecoats, and yeah, I mean it's pretty great. But I've never really gotten into any of their actual music because I feel like it's a kind of a third rate post rock band that really relies on other elements to be musical, and this is not uncommon for 21st century bands to really not have a great gift for melodies or to write really brief truncated melodies that don't develop. Now, I mean, by no means is Sunlux, the only one, but like I don't know, compared to somebody like Godspeed You Black Emperor, they're just not really the same. And Godspeed You Black Emperor is not going to have nothing better to do than collaborate with the Bluecoats. So, I feel like if that means that I'm not a biggest drum corps fan, that's okay. Evening Ragas, volume 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. Yeah, they are. I was playing them at all the wrong times. I was trying to do evenings, but I don't know. I always have the days off for that. But, so it's kind of stretched. I kind of have to imagine it's at the evening. And do I understand the pieces of the raga? Well, I really ought to commit to doing so because I feel like that would be pretty easy to understand with somebody with even a basic rudimental knowledge of theory, music theory. You get the sense that you could definitely figure out what's going on with the ragas and understand how they work. But I haven't committed to it yet, so I'm just on the outside looking in right now for my understanding. But I though I don't necessarily understand in what way the ragas are operating, or I haven't listened carefully enough, I still feel like I get a sense of it, and I still appreciate it on a rhythmic level and on a. I mean, honestly, I've been kind of falling asleep a lot listening to them, but that's a good state of mind. Your beta wave of listening to that and like a sort of a dream state is actually quite perceptive, and that's what I'm going to get out of them anyway because I can't really, whatever. Yeah, Father John Misty. I didn't know who this was, but I guess he's from Fleet Foxes. I found it to be interesting because he kind of goes with some 20th century styles on this one. The new 20th century, as he calls his album. And it's kind of like, it's like the Portlandia skit where they're back in the dream is alive, and the dream of the 1890s is still alive in Portland. That's kind of how these guys are. They're like West Coast, and like they look like they all have beards and look like they bake their own bread. All right, so Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs, the recording of, is that Holst? Or is that the other one? The Grand Canyon, yeah, it's the Grand Canyon Suite. My eyes ain't so good these days. So the Grand Canyon Suite, what did it have? It had something recognizable. Oh yeah, that's right, Bernstein, Candide. So I had to listen to some Bernstein, Candide. The rest of it I wasn't quite familiar with. But it's all Mobile Fidelity, and you gotta like collect those because when they come up, because they're rare and they're Mobile Fidelities, they're made with interestingly, usually BASF tape and whatever sputter something shell mechanism ceramic yeah something mechanism shell rebound exceptional rebound memory and stuff like that. Anyway, stuff that I don't, again, could maybe figure out how that works on a cassette, but I at this time don't really know what that means. Okay, the Friday the 13th soundtracks are pretty new. They just came out. I mean, obviously the soundtracks themselves are very old, from the early 90s, but they just came out on tape, I think for the first time, for like part 7 and whatever that one is, 8 or 9. So now I've got like 1 through 9. What else? Oh, here's our Holst, the planets. An enjoyable Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs recording of that. So yeah, the Hussy from Madison. I don't know what I said. It's got like that one song at the end about like Scatman goes where the Scatman goes, or whatever the hell. It's like a repeating phrase. And it's kind of bugging me. It's kind of an itch that I don't know what that's from, because I kind of do know what that's from. it's just an annoying song that somebody came up with in their head and felt like they needed to subject it onto the world for some reason. And now the Hussy covered it too. Anyway, like the guy in the Hussy is very nice. He works at the local music store, and I'm hoping he gets me some tapes. He's cool. He's a nice guy. Okay, Jade Warrior was a prog band. Let's see. Yeah, Daniel Johnston live in New York City. Unfortunately, I got this last year, around like almost a year ago, and I've completely spaced that I bought that because it wasn't in my. I was gonna buy some other Daniel Johnston live. No, first of all, it's an incredible set, and I was sort of falling asleep listening to it a little bit earlier tonight, and it is. He really gives you a show that like connects with you, especially lyrically. I mean, it's quite on a good level. I know that he's got a good reputation for shows for the most part for what it is. You know, if you need something more, I don't know, elaborate musically, then maybe you're not gonna like it. But it's, I mean, wow, is it good? It's like his lyrical command and everything. I think it's all been said, you know, it's in the documentary, like he's highly regarded and stuff, but yeah, it's a rare talent for that kind of songwriting. So I've got one to trade here or one to sell, depending on. By the way, I did sell Brian Eno for $100 recently, so that's good. Yeah, what I'm passing over here is just more Bollywood, obviously, and in some cases like multiple copies. Some of them not in the greatest condition, but they are slightly different. Love de Capo is yeah, it's part of ones that I gotten sealed. So this is about as good as you're gonna get. There's a tiny bit of bubble. Unfortunately, this one had an issue with the pad, and that's why I had to glue the pad back in with like super glue. And I bet you my other copy, usually with these Ampex tapes, it's the outside, the sticker stuff will be peeling and, you know, getting, I don't know, you know, when it starts to peel, it tends to get torn off, dog-eared, and then, but the inner cassette is usually really good because it's a snap case, so I don't know. In this case, though, it's the outer one that's going to be my keeper, and then probably I'll trade, if it's exactly the same, I'll trade for the better cassette, which I'd already previously listened to because this one I had to glue back together. All right, more Friday the 13th. I think the final one, at least until the 2000s, but this one's from 93, I believe. I think my favorite one was 7, which was up here, because it just had a lot of great noisiness. The New Blood, I think. Or what? Yeah, no, the New Blood Part 7. That was the best one for me. All right, so morning ragas, which I probably didn't listen to in the morning. Night ragas. I wish I could share my love of ragas with somebody, but there's nobody who's into like either drum and bugle corps or ragas. Anybody who's into tapes is most likely into punk rock. I played, which I am into as well, but you know, of course, I'm, you know, or stuff like this, Butthole Surfers or whatever. But anyway, they're not into raga or anything really like that would be different. So I'm pretty much on my own. Ozzy Osbourne, 10 Commandments, you know, he died, and so I had to listen to this. It's from 87, so it doesn't really have my favorite stuff. My favorite stuff is like No More Tears and everything that came around that time. Like, I love the overproduced stuff. It's just much better. I know Kurt Cobain preferred the early stuff after Sabbath, and then he kind of hated it when it became too commercial, but I'm quite different. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. This is the second release of it. I've already got the blue as well. Whatever I had to pay for, like whatever it was for these, I did not have to pay a great deal for them. And so now I've got both versions. That's good. Better than my cap, you know. What else? Anything? Not really. Well, the Gwen Stefani was all right. She's well, I don't know. It's okay. It's good. I have a friend who was like all about Gwen Stefani, and I'll never be able to be as much of an authority on Gwen Stefani as she is. But I'm glad to have this one here. I don't know. What can I say? I thought there was something I could say about her, but I mean, there's really not too much for me to say. And Vangelis Voices was good. He died in the last 5 years or so. Maybe only in the last 2 years. I don't remember. Finally, Neil Young Sleeps with Angels, the randomly found at Half Price Books promo version of this. Well, I'm glad always to get a promo version. And this one has some good stuff, though. I mean, it's like, yeah, it really does. Neil Young has these melodies that just kind of stay with you and will play in your head sometimes. Just like, I think, Change Your Mind, or for sure. And I think, no, but like, the problem is I don't remember them as songs. I just remember those little melodies that play in my head. So when I'm hearing them, and I finally get to hearing them, it's like, oh yeah, that. I feel like there's there's a few artists that are like that, but Neil Young's certainly one of them, where he just wrote some earworm melodies. Well, that's 20 minutes. It is, I guess, near the end. I'm going to try to wrap this up now, and definitely not my most exciting group this month. It was okay. I mean, certainly not bad. The Love to Capo, the for me anyway, the Raga series. I don't think anybody else is excited about them, and certainly the drum corps stuff is exciting for me. Also, whoever watches this might be interested in the Surfers, Butthole Surfers, that is. Okay, well, that's all for me. Until next month. Yeah, this is all. I'm keeping up with 60 tapes per month. Yeah, which is great because you got to do 2 per day in order to make 10,000 in 20 years. And I think I'm already up to 5,000. When I get to 5,000, I think I'll take pictures of what I've got and post all that so that I can, have something a little bit more coherent than this video series, which is kind of all over the place. All right, bye, and I will see. Whoever watches this will hear from me, which is probably just my family or something. They'll hear from me next month. All right, bye, family.